up, y'all? It's the one and only Mojo Disco here. That's MOJODISCO. My pronouns are she, her, and mother, and I am a fat femme from Brooklyn. I woke up this morning and forgot I was black. I washed away yesterday's complexion while reflecting on the procreation of today's magnificence. My hair follicles were not coarse and filled with history, but instead silky smooth like the tide waters of the Middle Passage, flowing with ease and 180 degrees of reassurance. I had no one to blame for what had occurred, and I had no reason to use that controversial N-word, negligence. It's not a word I will use to describe the generations and generations of my people, the sun. The sun was shining bright, my body had no ounce of pain, and I couldn't blame the man for my distorted mind frame that I embraced and labeled as the grind, because my face was 5 shades lighter than a struggle, and I had no reason to care, but excuse me if I get too deep. I once heard the ashiness of a man's skin is a direct reflection of what he overcame. And it comes to no surprise that the people with skin lighter than mine don't need no cocoa butter or lotion or Vaseline, because they're tanning their skin, and I promise they don't mean to look like my people, but I can't help to see that their lips are now plump and their booties are real fat. Their master tongues are speaking of our plantation legacies, mimicking the idea of interracial unity, but are they really the ones to blame? Our daughters have long hair weaves and Minaj as their last name. Our sons wear jeans and hang into the knees. The fathers are absent for most of our lives, and the mothers are comfortable with being baby mamas without ever being a wife. To others it may seem trite, but throwing in the bottle and the blood and be about that life. But excuse me if I get too deep. My grandmother was a panther, and her spirit still lives in the beat of my heart and in the melanin of my skin. See, I'm pleading with you all. We need to overcome so that Willie Lynch's letter on how to create a slave could be buried so deep in a grave 6 feet, and history won't repeat on this axis of defeat. It's hard to believe MLK once had a dream, because I woke up this morning and forgot I was black. I was speaking in tongue and didn't realize the fact that I tried to wash away my procreated heritage for the magnificence of today. Excuse me if I get too deep, but that's all I have to say. For me, being black is being magical. It is being resilient, and it's being a survivor. My blackness is wrapped in my queerness, and my queerness is wrapped in my blackness, and I embrace them both on a scale of life. Growing up as a child was very interesting. I always say I was raised hip-hop. I didn't understand queer culture, and I didn't understand that hip-hop and queer culture goes hand in hand until I became an adult. I grew up in a musical family. I grew up in the arts. I grew up in a time where hip-hop was going from community to worldwide phenomenon. So for me, I had to discover queerness in a way that was never taught to me. I had to discover it outside of online platforms, but in these streets, the Village, the Pier, secret areas in Brooklyn I can't speak about, but I found queerness to be everything I never knew I could be. And once I learned the language, I was able to identify myself within the spectrum. As a kid, I was taught to always be yourself. And to me, that has helped me navigate my queerness and my blackness and everything about me. Being myself has gotten me to this point of love and light, and I'm very fortunate for it. Being a black, fat, trans woman has been such a difficult journey with my family. When you do transition in the black community, you know, there's so much stigma, there's so much bias, and having to educate people I love and testing their love for me with their ability to expand their minds and reintroducing myself to them as the woman I was always destined to be, that I finally gave myself agency to be. My family now is supportive of my transition, and I'm very thankful. Not every trans woman has that support behind them. Some people still try it, but you know, I'm not fazed because the love outweighs the hate.
How do you feel being a black trans woman that is surviving, thriving, while so many of your sisters are not able to do the same because of their identity?
I'm very privileged to be a black trans woman who has work, steady work, constant work, who has freedom to be my authentic self, who has the liberty to love the way I deserve to be loved and how I give love. I don't take it for granted. A lot of black trans women are not employed, cannot keep jobs, and are often have to resort to sex work. And I'm fortunate that that's not my narrative. There's no shade to anyone who does it. I stand for everyone in my community. And I'm very fortunate to be in a place where I can inspire people with my story. And to me, that's my life's work. Inspire people to be their authentic self and inspire people to just be. It's so important to me. So shout out to all my sisters out there. I hope y'all watching. For trans women who have considered suicide when the rainbow wasn't enough, my message to you is to love yourself better than anyone can ever love you. You will not replace the love that your parents never gave you with drugs or alcohol or the affection from someone else. It has to come from within you. Love yourself so hard that the world has no choice but to love you a little bit more harder. And practice joy and practice happiness. And however you got to get it, you go out there and get it and you make it happen. For me, being a person who has always been connected with who I am or to who I am, some strong questions came up. And those questions were, you know who you've been, but who will you become? And that question played in the back of my head constantly to the point where I had to answer it. And I had to tell myself, this is who I will become. That came with learning new things, learning new terms, exploring sexuality, exploring gender, exploring every concept that society has placed on me, and realizing which one sticks to me and which one has been placed on me. Those that stick to me, I chose to embrace those more than anything else. When it comes to exploration of gender, a strong question I feel that helps you get to a place is it worth it? You have to ask yourself, is it worth it? And with that comes a lot of answers. Is what worth it? Is my happiness worth it? Is my joy worth it? Is my mental health worth it? Is my health worth it? You know, those are a lot of tough answers that we have to get to in order to live our most authentic self. I never believed in coming out. As a person who's been queer for most of my life, it just was what it was. I was never on the down low or secretive about who I was and who I loved. However, I never believed in the concept. When I decided to transition, it was the first time I had to come out publicly because I felt I couldn't be mad at people for referring to me as something I used to be if I don't educate them on who I am now. So I had to have that coming out moment and say, hey y'all, this is what it used to be, but this is what it is now. And for me, it was my first experience coming out, and to receive the love and the warm wishes from everyone was super amazing. Not everyone has that experience. Come out if you want to come out. It should not be something that is forced on you. People shouldn't be outed. Come out when you feel it's safe to come out, when you are comfortable enough to come out. If you don't want to come out, you don't have to come out. That's your business. But always know your truth and don't lie about who you are, especially to yourself. Because that's when the confusion comes and that's when the dangerous things start entering your spirit. I think the most pressing issue facing LGBTQ people today is racism. I think in our community there are subcategories and it's a fine line where racism exists. I think a lot of times we are placed under the LGBTQ community, umbrella because we are other. And that doesn't negate the racism that still exists and the privilege that people still exemplify within the community or out of the community. I think a lot of as a person of color, a lot of my allies who are not of color are mostly queer. However, they still exhibit racist behaviors within the community, and it's something that people don't want to talk about. It's something that people try to skip around because we're all queer and we're here. But when I wake up in the morning, like I said, my queerness is very intertwined with my blackness, and I think spaces need to be created and people need to give up a lot of their privileges within the spectrum to let those who are marginalized speak. And when these people who are marginalized speak, the other folks who are not marginalized need to listen. And with that listening needs to come action. And with that action needs to come community. And I feel that's the biggest problem we have in the LGBTQ community right now. Also, stop all the phobias. It's very tired. It's very late. And we're coming through. We've always been here, but now we're coming through. So be ready, be prepared, be loved. My favorite part about being me is my humor. If you know me, if you love me, I come with a certain brand of comedy that is so very black. And to me, it's just so timeless and effortless. And I love my capacity to love. The amount of love I have for people, whether I know them or not, is very strong, and it keeps me going because that love is a reflection of the love I have for myself. If you have anyone in your family who is of the queer experience, love on them a little bit harder today, tomorrow, and the next day. A lot of queer people do not have the family unit that they deserve, and we can start within ourselves to make more space and give more love to those who are under the rainbow. You can follow me on Instagram at Mojo Disco, mojodisco.com.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was great.